Are you here for an appointment with Dr. Foster?
Yeah, hi. My name's Mr. Putnam. My appointment starts in 10 minutes, and I'm a little early.
No issue. I'll let him know you arrived. Take the elevator to the 4th floor, then take a right and you will see Dr. Foster's office at the end of the hall. Welcome, Mr. Putnam. Dr. Foster will be right with you. Take a seat.
What are you doing here? You too? Mr. Putnam, Danforth, Reverend Paris, I suspect that you are all experiencing some confusion right now. Please, let me explain what my reasoning is in my office, if you will.
Whoa! Wait a minute! I refuse to be in the same room with that thoughtless, money-hungry man!
And I don't want anything to do with that materialistic fraud. He overstepped his boundaries in asking for the deed to his house. And you see, his position as Reverend gave him a house to live in and a good reputation that gave him the power and protection during the witch trials. And you wouldn't believe he insisted that the church have golden candlesticks that were needless. Needless, I say! These are obvious signs of selfish desires, Doctor. He was no true reverend to Salem's people. It was all an act to get what he wanted. And...
Excuse me, Mr. Putnam, but the only care you have in this world is money and stealing people's land, which is exactly what you did during the witch trials.
Men, calm yourselves. Let's be mature here and listen to what the doc has to say. He obviously knows what he's doing, and I didn't come all the way here to listen to this bickering nonsense.
Yes, I do believe you're right.
So, as I was trying to say, all three of you have come to me to discuss the related issues each of you have been having. From my notes, I believe it says that all of you feel somewhat responsible for the deaths of innocent people who died during the witch trials. Am I right?
Indeed. Yes.
So who would like to discuss their problems first?
I will.
No, I will! Men, there is no need for this right now. Danforth, I volunteer you to speak first. So what seems to be your problem? If you insist. Well, as everybody knows, I was the judge in power of making all of the decisions during the Salem witch trials and was in charge of which accusations were true and which ones were false. So, you're telling me that you were in control of who lived and who died? Precisely. My decisions were based off of what I thought was true evidence. And what was the true evidence? You see, there I was just doing my job to protect Salem from those uncanny witches. I believed witchcraft was by its very nature an invisible crime, thus only the witch and the victim could witness it. The witch will not accuse herself, thus one must rely on the victim. But I was wrong. It is proved to this day that witchcraft was make-believe, and I, as a powerful judge, should have been able to identify the false accusations. I was blinded by the lies. Yeah, I see. Just out of curiosity, what convinced you that these human beings were supernatural witches? I have seen people choked before my eyes by spirits. I have seen them stuck by pins and slashed by daggers. Danforth, being in a powerful position such as that, it was your duty to make the decisions in which you thought were the best ones. However, it sounds to me that the whole situation was very convincing, and it was not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Mr. Putnam, will you share next? Of course, Doctor. So let me start off by saying that I'm a fairly wealthy man who comes from the upper class, and I own a vast amount of land. However, a couple months after the witch trials, I began to realize that my selfish desires for wealth and power led to the deaths of innocent people who I convinced the court were witches. And let me tell you, these were the most innocent people I ever knew. Carry on. So, I took advantage of the trials, knowing that the convicted would be forced to sell their land, and I was all too eager to attain more land at cut-rate prices. I had my eye on George Jacobs' property for a while, and he would never sell it to me, which is precisely why I demanded my daughter to cry witchcraft upon him, and with my accusations, he was sentenced to death, and my wish was granted. I feel terrible, Doctor. I don't know how I can ever forgive myself. Now, Mr. Putnam, you see how power and wealth can take over your actions and how you treat people? I can see how that would upset you, and I can tell that you have learned a valuable lesson, that a person's life should come before personal wealth. I know it will be hard to forgive yourself, but you must, so that you can move on with your life. Lastly, Reverend Paris, it's your turn to speak.
Yes. Well, my main focus was to keep a steady reputation so that I could keep the deed to my house and my job as a reverend. It allowed people to trust me. I considered my job powerful in the sense that I was protected by God throughout the witch trials. However, I used it against the court selfishly, perjured myself denying the sight of girls dancing naked in the woods, which cost the lives of many innocent souls.
It says here in my notes that your niece Abigail Williams was the one who convinced you to lie. Is that true?
Yes, it is. That evil beep was up to no good, and I helped senselessly murder innocent people. I did a horrible thing, Doctor.
Well, Reverend, if you really were with God, then I believe you would have done the right thing by telling the truth, so that those innocent people didn't have to suffer consequences that they didn't deserve. Sounds to me like Abigail was the real witch here. Ha! Anyhow, it's getting quite late. I'm sorry I've got to wrap this up early because my next client will be showing up anytime soon. I hope our meeting helped to relieve the similar problems you were all facing. And remember, you must forgive your past and move forward and do not let power overcome you.